Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do,
Just what to do, just what to do.
if what you're feeling is really true,
Is it really true? Is it really true?
just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geri Petito Show. Guys, everyone and anyone who knows me knows I am the author of I'm Not an Addict, I'm Just an Ass. I'd rather be a smart ass than a dumbass. Because, guys, 32 years ago, I was a dumbass. But today, 32 years later, I can honestly say now I'm a smart ass. And yes, the word ass is in the Bible at least 40 times, and it means donkey, and that's what I was. I'm saying all that to say this, we've all had the roughest few years of our lives, right? All over the world, not just here. And I want everyone out there to know someone is listening. I'm a nutritional health coach. I cured myself of 2 cancers way back in the day, completely natural. I'm also a recovery coach, guys. And I'm here for you. So please, please reach out. All my services to you are free. Please don't feel like you're alone, okay? And if you think my book can help someone, I think it sure could. You can go right to Simon & Schuster's bookstore, Archway Publishing, BAM, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can go to my website, www.geripetito.com. Please subscribe to the Geri Petito Show YouTube channel. And guys, if you truly, truly, truly cannot afford my book, please, please reach out to me about that as well. I want to mention a few of my sponsors. Okay. So, first and foremost, I want to mention Anthony Hudson, presidential candidate 2024, and Kevin Duncan, vice presidential candidate 2024, people before politics. I don't usually get involved with politics, guys, but for this I made an exception. He's running as nonpartisan. Not only did he fly out here a few times to be live in our studio and on my show, we've done commercials for him. And we also met up with both of them, me and Ruben, the other producer from here. We met up with them this year at Yuma, Arizona at the borders to cover the story there. So we got to see firsthand what's really happening. We spent 4 days with the Border Patrol and the Sheriff Department. We met the mayor and we met the people. And we were there sometimes till 4 in the morning at all the borders. Okay? So he's just a regular guy from Michigan. He's a truck driver. He's in his late 40s. People before politics. We got to get this guy heard, okay? Paula Ann, Ablaze Entertainment and Freedom Rings Festival, helping survivors of human trafficking to live a life of normalcy. Guys, please, please, please go to www.freedomringsfestival.com. And the Geri Petito Show is also one of their sponsors. Okay? So now, Michael D'Amore. All right? He's a singer, songwriter, performer, entertainer. Go to www.michaeldamore.com. And it's funny because I'm a huge Elvis fan. Everyone knows that. And he's the only singer that I ever said for years, here's Elvis, because no one can top Elvis, baby, and here's Michael. But I kind of moved him down one notch for Carter Rubin, the winner of The Voice, the young male. They're very good friends, and Michael got a kick out of that. But guess what? So Michael's under Carter Rubin, guys. Shh, don't tell anybody. So also, John Monforto, the man of many faces, singer, actor, celebrity, impersonator, and tribute artist. And he was given the title by a former Philadelphia mayor, Philly Rocky impersonator, because he really is. All right, you can go to his website, www.johnmonforto.com. He's incredible. Guys, he does dozens of different characters. Of course, my favorite is his Rocky, and my second one, of course, is his Godfather, the Italian girl in me, okay? He's off the charts, all right? And last but certainly not least, Michael Zanman. He's singer, entertainer, performer. His website, www.mzamman.com. Please check him out. He's this incredible singer who's up and coming, off the charts, ridiculous. Okay? And I had the honor of being the MC at Let East this year for Friday night for Zanman, opening up for Michael D'Amore. Next year at Let East, I'm also going to be the MC on Friday night, and we've added John Monforto to the list. All right, so please check out these entertainers. Listen, they're for hire, they're incredible. Check them out. Now, guys, you know I always bring it, right? Well, honey, I'm bringing it again. I have a beautiful young woman here. She's an author, and I would like to introduce her, and then I'm going to have her tell us a little bit about herself. So, Diana Kouprina, please say hello.
Hi everyone. Well, thank you for the introduction. A little bit about myself. I was born in the former Soviet Union, and I immigrated to the U.S. at the age of 9 under my father's student visa, the H-1B. He was no F-2, and then we received the H-1B. So it was a long process. And I will. What can I say? I can say that it is a long process. I'm still in the process, and I am stateless, so I write books.
All right, so hold that thought for 1 minute. I just shared the show for you. So you said the original Soviet Union.
Yes. Well, the former.
Yes. Russia.
Russia. Well, Russia.
Yes, I've been there. So, I was there in the 80s. One of my favorite trips. I've been all over the world. I've even been to China at their wall, Russia at their wall. Okay? I've been to Israel. I've been everywhere. I have been so blessed. And let me tell you something about Russia. We can talk privately about this, but I did have machine guns pointed at me, and I wasn't afraid. I was not afraid. It was amazing, and I loved the Russian people. I got to hug so many of them with their children, and that's why I had guns pointed at me. I wasn't allowed to do that, but guess what? I did anyway. So that's beautiful. I didn't realize that, but thank you for sharing that. So now you're an author, and
Yes.
right now you have 2 books out. Tell the titles of the 2 books first.
So the first one is Adventures of the Girl with Pink Hair. And the second one is also Adventures of the girl, but it's Adventures of PK. It's
Okay.
shortened, it's sweeter, it's more for I want to say the American demographic, as the first book really hit the post-Soviet market, I want to say, because my illustrator was from Yerevan, Armenia, and we worked well together, but his artistry, and he's more of a not an illustrator but rather a painter, so that book is it's rich in art, but it's not, I won't say that it's exactly what the regular child right now would be drawn to.
Okay.
It's more for an adult to look at the illustrations and read the book and maybe talk about art. The second one, obviously, is simplified. It's more for the kid, and I'm working with a different illustrator, and we changed a few things. It's a little bit of a different type of adventure, but the whole point is power of the voice. And my struggle was losing my voice and my identity and myself. And after I regained it, I started to write again, and that was the first time I was actually really proud of something I've written, and it came to me, and I trusted that spirit voice that comes out when you're writing. I'm not sure if you experienced it, but I think you have.
Yes.
And when that flows, then it feels good. I'm on the right track.
Yes. I want to share something with you. So when John Terlizzi, let's give him a shout out. John Terlizzi, hello, how are you, baby? Right? We love John. I laugh and say John's my stalker. He's my favorite stalker on Facebook because he stalks me and gives me such great, incredible guests.
Oh, he's amazing. Yes.
We love you, John. When he sent me your name and the cover of that book with the girl with the pink hair, I want to share something with you why when I looked at that, I thought I have got to interview her. So I am an artist, and pink and purple and turquoise are my three favorite colors. I use them for everything. And I had beauty salons back in the 80s and 90s. So I was in my 20s, and I was one of the first in Mercer County to have pink and purple hair. The color jazzings first came out back then, and I had them bleach my hair out, and I didn't tell anyone in my family, and pink and purple, and braided it, and it was incredible. So when I saw that, I said, maybe she's writing about me.
Maybe maybe our souls connected through the universe because honest, I can't say my daughter is a huge pink girl. That's usually me. I the Barbie pink. That's my secret go-to. I try not to be too flashy with it, but it comes out in secret. And that I felt like, well, a character has to be special, and let's give her something. And it's not the pink hair that makes her special, actually, it's her voice. And I use that as a play on of everything because obviously you can see, okay, she's different because she has pink hair, but she's different because she learns the ability of and the power of her voice.
Yes, you're right. So, okay, so you're obviously an open book?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us, because I'm fascinated with the different countries and how everybody grew up and how they had to live and survive. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I was born in '84, so not good. I'm not gonna hide my age. And I immigrated to the U.S. in 1993. I was born in Tbilisi, Georgia. I lived for a short period in Yerevan when the Civil War was breaking out in Georgia. During the time, it was 1991. It was the beginning of it, and after 1993, it was Georgia was just shut down, the whole city completely. So uh, life. I lived with my grandparents, my mother, my grandmother, my grandfather, my great grandmother, in a small two-bedroom apartment. And we had a little living room and a little balcony. I had a piano, so that, and we owned the apartment, so I guess we were okay. Everyone was pretty much equal, I want to say, at the time, and no one really had anything. There was lines for bread, and electricity would be on or off. Hot water, I remember my grandmothers would boil it, hot water, so they could fill the tub for me, because sometimes we just didn't have it. And when I say we didn't have it, it was in that it was sporadic, couple hours. I would say it would be few days, sometimes more than that. My mother and I actually lived in Yerevan because it was getting so bad in Georgia, and we were fortunate because my father's parents had the ability to buy an apartment in Yerevan, and so we moved there. And Yerevan was a little better. Um, Again, it was back and forth, and that was the life I knew. My dad wasn't around because he was first. I want to say he was first at Oxford before he applied to Yale. So he was this genius man trying to change the world, and he was. That was how I saw him, sort of this really hero, really amazing. Just his brain power alone can do crazy things, and that was it. That's really what I knew of my dad up until I moved to the U.S. in 1993. My mom and I moved to New Haven when he petitioned for us to immigrate. And that was a whole 2 year process, too.
Okay.
So I entered third grade in the U.S., and we were told by family friends that New Haven, not the best public school system, and so I was sent to Catholic school. So I had a huge culture shock, not just in, oh, I don't understand the language these people are speaking, but then there's this religious aspect that I had no idea about because we weren't really a religious family, my grandmother's mother was extremely religious, but that was it. So really, even now when I think of religion, all I can actually really relate to is identifying as a Catholic. I ended up marrying an Italian Catholic. That didn't really go well, but I really identified with the Italians. Made a lot of mistakes through it, but I don't know, something about the mob spoke to me.
I get it. Go ahead.
So, my as I'm writing my memoir right now, what plays in my mind is going back and just really trying to remember what it was like living in the Soviet Union during these times. And my memories are just so muddled. It's like one little simple movie that plays, and it's a little apartment, but I feel loved, and I have something about, and I want to say grandmother, but I will be doing it just not justice. So I'm gonna say babushka. Is the babushka
I love that. Go ahead.
babushka love is something extraordinary, and my mother and I talk about it often because my mother lives with me and my daughter, and we
Oh,
continue
I love
this
that.
uh, community family raising, and it's just such a love that's so different from parental love, and just seeing it flourish. And when I was growing up, just feeling it all the time, it's the love that really sustained me through my really dark times. And when I say dark times, I had a lot of them. I can relate to you saying being a dumbass, and my memoir Borderline is really about half of my life being a dumbass. And it just happened. It started with one simple pill. I want to say it was a painkiller, and then it went to I had a lot of anxiety, and so that went to a doctor just prescribing me one Xanax. And after Xanax, it was Klonopin, and I got to the point where it was at 2 milligrams 3 times a day. So if you know anything about benzodiazepine, 2 milligrams 3 times a day, 6 milligrams, that's quite a lot. And now, to add to the fun, my ex-husband was a recovering drug addict who had access to methadone. So he got take homes. So I had access to that, and that was a whole different type of whirlwind. I did die for a few minutes. I came back. And I like to think of it now, maybe I came back with this purpose of telling this story. Because the more I write about myself, the more I talk about myself, I realize, well, I've really done it. I haven't met a single person like me. I haven't met anyone who's stateless, and that just means no nationality, no citizenship. I do continuous checks with USCIS. I have lawful presence in the US, but that does not mean I'm documented. So that's tricky too. It's I'm floating in this air. I'm lucky because I have parents who are now US citizens, and I have their support. So I have support that many, I would say, stateless people don't. I also had the luxury, I guess, in my life to make the mistakes I did, because I can't imagine many immigrants making them. And a lot of them just started just by trying to fit in and just trying to understand how I fit in. I ended up going to private school. I was at Dana Hall in Wellesley, Massachusetts, which was a prep school for Wellesley College. So an all girls, I applied, I got in, I did it all on my own. I got a full scholarship, everything. And I didn't know how to fit in. There was no teaching method of how to fit in. We lived in a tiny apartment in Central Square, which at the time was really where the homeless and the drug addicts and hung out by the train station. And I would have to commute to my private school. And I did all of it. But after a while, I felt like my brain crashed. And by trying to fit in, I didn't meet the right people, I want to say.
Okay.
And by the age of 13, I was traumatically, tragically raped. And after that, everything in my life just went into a completely different cycle. It was a switch that went off, and half of my brain went into this darkness. I lost that little spirit spark voice that I had that made me so intelligent, confident, whatever I felt that kept me creating. I lost all of it in that instant, and I couldn't get it back, and I didn't get it back until I realized, oh, well, I need to talk about this. Oh, this wasn't my fault. Oh, it's okay. I never healed from it. I didn't heal from it until my late 20s. That's when the healing process really started. That's when I sort of crashed. My husband at the time was not someone I should have been with at all. Immigration, well, because I married a U.S. citizen, I was no longer eligible to receive my adjustment of status, also known as green card, with my parents because I married a U.S. citizen. So it's almost like I was a little bit of a cattle. First, my father was responsible for me. But then because I married, now this man is responsible for me. So by the time we petitioned, it was bad. I had already died. I was brought back to life. I was completely a full-blown addict, and he was as well, and it was abusive. It was a lot of abuse that my mother had to come and get me out of there because they didn't know what to do with me. So I came back home, and that was the beginning of recovery, cold turkey recovery. And that was not a lot of fun, but I did it.
Wait, how old were you?
26.
Did you have children at that point?
No, lucky.
Okay.
I
Thank
was
God.
very lucky.
All right, so continue.
Actually, by the time I got pregnant with my daughter, everything was completely out of my system.
good.
This was like, my daughter herself is another miracle baby. I was told I couldn't have children. That was another really hard thing in my relationship with my husband, because when we got married, I had sacrificed everything by that point to be with him. I left college. I said, I don't need this. It's you and me against the world. His parents had put him in rehab at the time, and I'm trying to be at UMass Amherst and come back home, take care of him, and it was just crazy. So I ended up leaving college that I worked really hard to get to, because it's not easy for an immigrant to get into college, because the whole financial aid aspect is you're not eligible for any. Doesn't matter. As long as if you're not a permanent resident, you don't qualify for financial aid, basically. So I didn't qualify for the financial aid, and the scholarships that I received just weren't up to par of college tuition. So I worked really hard on finding loans and borrowers, but after I met my husband, all of that went out the window, and everything was just so much easier if just to float. And when I would get high, it was I want to say feel, because at that point I didn't feel anything. I did a previous stunt in mental hospitals. I was a cutter. I cut myself, and feeling I couldn't do. And for some reason, when I would take a Xanax and then later mix it with an Oxy, I was floating, but I could be confident. I was a functioning drug addict. I could go to work and have perfect conversations. Although if I overdid it, I could have a grand mal seizure, and I had a few of those. Went down on an escalator. Just woke up in an emergency room, no idea what happened to me. So I guess my point is, I feel like with everything I've been through, there has to be a purpose. And my purpose, maybe, hopefully, is sharing this story. And especially now, because everything is really coming out, times have really changed, and people can be honest about what they went through, especially with the 90s. And I want to say, there was this middle class surge of people that just fell into painkillers and just were prescribed, and it was easy to get. And I was a teenager and they were fun. This is what we did in boarding school. You want to try this pill? That way you don't smell of alcohol, nothing. They could get them from their parents. It was just easy peasy, is how I can put it.
Okay. I have a question for you, though. So now your child, who's her dad?
It's someone I met once I moved back to
All
my
right, but you're not
parents' house.
together.
We are together.
Oh, okay.
We don't live together.
Okay.
Um, but that's how I need it for me.
Okay.
I like this type of relationship right
Okay.
now because all my life I was so codependent that this is my independence. Yes, I have a partner. Yes, I can rely on someone, but at the same time, this is me figuring myself out. And as someone who's stateless right now, I can't even imagine what layer that would play. And as far as marriage, that doesn't even, again, immigration. This is not something I wouldn't want to get married right now,
Okay.
being me, because I would feel that I'm putting that person in a position where they do have to say yes and they have this obligation. And at the end of the day, I don't want to be having a fight when we're 60.
Okay.
Oh, you just married me
Yep.
for the green card. You
Yeah.
don't care. I don't. That's not something that goes into play. And I'm one of those people that actually lost her green card because I married a U.S. citizen.
Yep.
So that is completely
Off the table right now.
not even in my line
Yeah.
of thinking. My line of thinking is very basic right now. It's
Okay.
my writing. I'm working on my MBA and immigration. So
Okay. Is he in your daughter's life?
yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so now talk about your MBA. Go ahead.
Oh, so I was lucky. Again, there's a university that recently opened. I want to say maybe 10 years ago they opened. And it's a tuition-free nonprofit university that's actually sponsored by some of the Ivy Leagues. So if actually anyone's interested or if any immigrants are listening and they want to pursue their education, this is a school they can actually go to. It won't help them with their immigrant status, but they can pursue a career for free online at their own time and so forth. That was the only way I could pursue my education because, again, finances and loans um, just wasn't working anymore. I've already taken out the loans for college to continue more. I'm still indebted from previous years.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So, did the person who hurt you, rape you, go to jail?
No.
Is that person still around?
Oh, I have no idea.
Okay.
It was, I met this person because I was a lonely teenager. No, I wasn't even a teenager. I was just I had a first boyfriend kind of breakup. And when I say boyfriend, it was a boy who was my best friend who stopped being friends with me. And I was really upset. And AOL Messenger came out and IMs existed. And there was this boy. I don't remember even his name. But he was 17 and we bonded over music and going to um, Newberry Comics, and he lived in Cambridge as well. So I actually saw him. We went to Titanic. He did hit on me. He did flirt with me. And I said, no, no, thank you. I just want to be friends. And then the rape, I remember the boyfriend, friend, really, I want to say, it was like, no, we can't date anymore. It's over. And I was so sad. So I messaged crying this new friend and he said, oh, come over, come to my house. He lived not too far from me. I went there and still remember the house was very nice. It was almost like a penthouse suite or something. There was a piano, leather couches. I could almost smell them. And I was so sad. And he said, well, here's a drink. And it was whiskey in a whiskey glass, crystal whiskey glass. And I remember sipping on it and I remember playing the piano. And then I'm blank.
Whoa.
I wake up on a mattress.
How old were you?
12.
Okay.
And I'm trying to fight, but I really can't. I just can't. And nothing's coming out of my mouth. I know I'm on a mattress. There's almost like a camera or something pointed at me. And instead of one person, there's two people. And to this day, I can't stand the smell of condoms like that. Peanut. I don't know if I'm being too gross or specific, but if everything's off the table, I could say that penis, that having that almost shoved in my mouth and
Yep.
having it forced open,
Yep.
and then just blacking out and waking up by being shoved out of the car onto the pavement and somehow making it into my mother's arms, who was so freaked out. Didn't know what this is, a Soviet woman. She just put me in the cold shower aggressively, and that was it.
Okay.
I went to sleep, and when I woke up, I prayed to God that was like one of those really, really bad nightmares that didn't happen. But it did happen. And so living in your worst nightmare, I think really took away that person that is having this conversation with you. So it took a long time to get to even to this point.
Okay. Okay. So now you're writing. So just,
Yeah.
I had not that similar situation at 12, but someone did touch me at 12, a neighbor. The reason I did drugs was I thought I let a child molester go. So, I'm a lot older than you. I'm 60, I'll be 63 years old. So when I was 12, we're going way back, that I knew I couldn't tell my father. My father would have killed him with his bare hands. But I had to tell someone, so I told my uncle, and he threatened him, and they were moving away anyway. And all these years, I always said, did we do the right thing? Should we have called the cops? I didn't want to hurt his family, I'm actually still in communication with his wife, on Facebook and all that. And here's how God is so incredible to me. I lived with this my whole life. Did I let a child molester go? And that's what made me start doing drugs back then. But as I got older, I still couldn't quite get rid of that thought. Okay? And I saw them 7, 8, 9, 6, about 7 years ago at a family party. They moved away to another state, and they came up for it, and I didn't even realize they were invited to this party. And he tried to touch me again. He was in his 70s. And I just laughed and said, "You're just a dirty old man." And I walked away and said, "Thank you, God," because what God did for me that night was he let me know he wasn't a child molester. Because if he was, he wouldn't have been interested in me at 57 years old. I didn't look like a child at 12. I had a big chest. I didn't look like a child. And I was a tough New York kid. But that was freedom for me. And I thank God every day that God allowed that to happen, because it told me I didn't let a child molester go. But, I'm listening to you, and all right, so let's go way back. I have a question for you. Growing up in the Soviet Union, what was it like then growing up for you? Were there still a lot of rules then and all that?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So going back to really, you had to be child, had to be polite, proper, you had to follow orders. School wasn't fun. It wasn't like it is now, or how my daughter. For example, I liked drawing with my left hand, sometimes writing with my left hand. And I had that the use of my left hand smacked out of me with a ruler. So again, very different. I can say, well, it felt normal at the time, but very different to U.S. schooling. What else? I think just
Did
no.
women have to stay in their place? Did
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So that I kind of goes without even thinking
Yeah,
it,
sure.
but sure. As a child, I knew that one day I had to find a husband, so I wouldn't be a spinster, as they call it.
Yep. What about
But
were there still guards walking around with guns and all that at that point?
well, again, since I wasn't in Russia, I was in Georgia. There was
Okay.
a different
Okay.
thing happening there, and during the Georgian conflict, yes, I believe towards the end, towards the full of it, there was tanks that we could
Okay.
see, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I
So,
had a friend whose father was actually in the war, and I remember this very well. He I packed a little bag, and he said, "Well, I really miss my dad, and he might die because he's in this war." He said, "Let's go. We're gonna go visit my dad." And so I packed the bag, and we went. We actually left and got as far as the bus station, trying to get out of the city to, I don't want to say suburbs, but Abkhazia, the more where the mountains are of Georgia. And we were hoping this bus was going to take them. I want to take us there, and I want to say at the time we were probably 7 years old. So not a normal type of.
yeah,
I
sure.
can't imagine my daughter trying to
No.
take a bus to a war zone because she misses her father.
Yes.
Uh, just not
So,
even plausible in today's
right.
way of thinking.
So
So it,
today, um, have you overcome most of your tragedies in your life? Have you come to a safe haven place mentally where you know none of this was your fault?
yes,
Okay.
and I say this as a really affirmative, positive yes, because if I wasn't able to forgive myself and if I wasn't able to love myself, we wouldn't be having this conversation
Yes.
at all. Um, I go mute and I go silent when I'm aching, and the person that takes over is not someone who would have even had the confidence to have this conversation, let alone sit and write something. Um, Writing for me has always been a part of me. Um, from books to writing to creating, I was always a writer. I just never believed in myself. And when the trauma happened, and then a lot more trauma happened, and it was just layers of trauma. Eventually, I just stopped writing, and it took the whole my whole healing period. I actually didn't really write. I went to therapy. I want to say I tried to connect with spirituality, but I was really isolated during my healing. It was just me trying to pray or trying to understand maybe what type of personality disorder or what's my mental illness that's ailing me. And it took a lot to really, all those layers had to be peeled off. Today I can say yes, I'm neurodivergent. I have ADHD. I have dyslexia. Yes, but to me those are superpowers. I love my brain. I'm very visual. I'm very. I connect things really quickly. It's really cool up here. It doesn't get lonely or boring. But again, if I didn't get to this point, if I hadn't healed, I wouldn't be able to say this. I never could say this. I never felt this really. The last time I probably felt this was when I was a child and before even school started. When I was a child and I was just allowed to do what I was allowed to do, and that was to be a child. But in the Soviet Union, I think children stopped being children by the time they entered first grade. Because it was, you listen, you do as the adults are told. There's no question. This is it. This is how it's done. There's nothing. And if they told you you're wrong, you're wrong. There's no questioning. It's just authority. And that really, again, that brings me back to why I wrote Adventures of the Girl with the Pink Hair, was because that really made me hide my voice deep inside of me. So I was already learning how to almost dissociate at a very young age, because I was witnessing so many things that were not really normal, but normal at the time. And everyone else was going through it. So it wasn't, I couldn't say, oh, well, for me, this happened to me or whatever. When I got to the US, I think also what got me was just being, after the trauma, what got me was I got stuck in being a victim. I didn't know how to progress from being a victim to survivor. And there's a process. I want to say there's this, because going through it, I felt attacked as a victim, as a survivor. I don't. I feel almost at peace. Yes, it's tragic what happened. It wasn't my fault. There's ugly people in this world, and I wish something else was done. Sure, if I could go back, I wish something. But looking at the way how my family was coming to the U.S., being immigrants, not knowing the laws, not knowing, I didn't even tell my mother what happened. She just assumed that her 12-year-old just randomly got drunk. Um, and so it was just buried. And if my father ever found out, I would be the one anyway in trouble, because, hey, who got drunk? What are you doing? Like, why are you even around boys? I wasn't allowed to be around boys. I wasn't even allowed to have friends who were boys. I wasn't really allowed to go out by my father's rules. So that was already rebellious. That's already my fault. And so there was a lot of shame, and I never talked about it. And then when I started cutting myself in my dorm rooms, um, one time I got discovered, I was brought to the mental hospital. And even there, I did not talk about this to the psychiatrist. What happened to me, that initial trauma, I didn't talk about it. So they said, oh, she's just natural depression, because I'm not saying what I just went through.
Okay.
And I wouldn't even talk about it until probably really when Me Too started really coming out. That's when I was really starting to even discuss it in therapy. And I was at the point in my life wondering, all these women that went through it, how are they here and I'm still here? Like, how did they get from this A to B and I can't? Like, I don't understand the how. That was hard. Not understanding it, but understand it. What helped me was learning spirituality. So there's a spiritual component that helped progress, and that's when I started learning, okay, how I forgive myself, how I love myself, who am I inside, and that inner needs to come out, and that's all inner work. And I can't say it's all psychological or all religious. It's a combination of both that brought me to where we are today.
So, okay. I love giving inspiration to people who are listening. Okay? What you're saying is unbelievably inspirational. You are helping so many people right now. Trust me on this. I want to ask you to tell the listening audience briefly, if they're stuck right now where you were, what could be that light bulb to go off to make them say, wait a minute, I can do this. Give them that little piece.
I cling on to the hope that's inside of you, because that's what I did. And sometimes you can't really see it and you can't feel it, but it's there. And for me, let's put it this way, hope always was somewhere in the back of my mind. I didn't really have it. When I was told I couldn't have children, that really broke me. That was another layer that was like, oh, enough. Like, I've had it. Come on. And that's when I kind of didn't listen to the doctors. I had my hope and I said, okay, I'm just going to do this. Whatever happens, happens. But I, stepped into it. It was like, well, this is what it would feel like if I'm pregnant, or this is what it would feel like if I'm pushing a stroller. and it's the focus, and that is the hope. And when that hope does pay off, it's another baby step towards healing, because you say, wait, that is so much greater than um the darkness I was just wallowing in. That is so much greater. The other helpful how was really understanding that my pain was also hurting others, because when I was hurting, I didn't think anyone liked me or loved me. I loved so much, but I did not believe that anyone loved me. And when you don't believe anyone loves you, you go to a really dark suicidal thought saying, well, I might as well die and people are just going to be better off than. That's not true. That is not what happens. And if people who are feeling talk, if you're not comfortable talking to your parents, talk to someone, call a hotline. There's so many resources right now, but do it. Do it privately if you're ashamed. But plug in, Google what you need, and do little research. And that will help. That will help knowing that you're not alone. I think the scariest thing is not thinking that you're by yourself.
Yep.
My healing probably even took me longer because, like I said, I still yet to meet anyone exactly like me. It feels a little lonely. Like I want to meet another stateless person and have a fun conversation with them, you know, or um, like bonding with somebody who has recovered from drug addiction. It just those things. I can have random, I can talk about eating disorders and depression, but I have yet to meet someone who's kind of like me and been through all of it. And it's just like, okay, well, I made it. You can too. I can too.
You made it. You know,
Yeah.
I wasn't going. I always read a poem. I wasn't going to read this one, but I'm going to. Let me find it because I had a different one bookmarked. All right. Hold on a minute. Not that one. All right. I'm going to read this poem. It's called Face It Till You Make It. Okay?
I like the title.
Okay. Fake it till you make it is a term heard so much. I don't really agree. It's living with a crutch. Not just for addiction, all life lessons, my friend. That's a saddened life to live until the end. I'd rather go by saying more real, face it till you make it in spite of how you feel. We gotta grow up, put our past behind. In spite of our hurts, there's greatness to find. I'd rather go through life smiling every day, holding up my chin, all good things to say. Positive thinking and actions likewise throw out a force up into the skies. What we project is what we will earn. Karma is real and we each have a turn. Your thoughts are wired to make you think. With what you do can make you sink. Keep all your thoughts uplifting and real. Feeding your mind crap destroys how you feel. So don't put out crap, it comes back to bite. Stand up real tall and fight the fight. I promise you this, if you face all your fears, it may be quite scary, but will add to your years. One day you'll be happy with who you now are. Just look at me, I've really come far. I look in the mirror and like what I see, but most important, I really love me. What you said about loving yourself really resonated
Yeah, well,
because,
also, that you read the poem, I want to add, as to how it's overcoming your fear. As anxiety, as someone who's had crazy anxiety, I can say that now I see my little anxieties as little triggers to saying, okay, wait, this is not it. Or wait, maybe I should look at it from a different perspective, because this is something that's telling me this is not where I want to be. Before, I would honestly hide under the blanket and be like, this is happening to me. I don't know what to do with this, and I can't reflect. What I want to say to anyone who's experiencing is that you can, it's okay. Maybe it's just not that way. And it's okay to step back, and it's okay to take a nap. And it's okay to sleep if you need to sleep. And it's okay to have those days where you're a mess and everything's a mess. All of that is okay. Just accept you for you. And that's when you'll start seeing little bit progress. Overcome those fears. For me, public speaking, great fear. I feared it. I remember I I ha- I don't know why I even did it. Something in my mind just said, okay, this is how you're going to overcome it. My daughter was at preschool, and her preschool is a co-op with Head Start. So I did a lot of advocacy for Head Start. And there was this one time where we were invited to advocate and share stories with the mayor and senators and House. I don't believe he was a senator. Kennedy, he's not a senator. He's a House of Representatives. But I just signed up for it, and I said, yes, I want to meet this man. And oh my goodness, I wrote the speech. I was ready, and when I got up, my whole body was just shaking. But I said it. I said everything I aimed to say, and I got applause. And then I had a one-on-one conversation with him about immigration. And I just that walk home, I felt so empowered.
Okay.
And that's when I realized, okay, I have a voice. I can use it. And I can feel good about myself by connecting with others and on these causes. And I have so many causes, from mental health to domestic abuse, to immigration, to all of it. It's just, for me, I can talk about it, and that helps me. And that helps me even overcome my own fears. So if anybody is really even struggling, they can always also connect with me. I'm available on Facebook, easy to find, Diana Kouprina. But overcome your fears, I think, is so important. And as the poem said, this really resonated with me.
Oh.
Just little fears, because when you're struggling with depression, your fears are of yourself. You're scared of yourself. I'm not saying go jump off the highest cliff or the highest mountain, but overcome those fears that are limiting you. If you're scared to speak at work, raise your hand. Share listen to that spirit voice. It exists. I want to believe it exists. I want to say it exists, because if it didn't exist,
It does
then
exist.
we can't be having this conversation, right? So it's that spirit. Trust it is my whole point.
I have jumped off of cliffs with kites attached to me. I've jumped off of bridges in New Zealand, bungee jumping. I've done
See,
it all.
I'm still scared to do that. I don't
Okay.
know if I could
Had
let
to.
go.
Had to. I've done it all. I've jumped out of a plane. I've done everything. And I'm going to tell you what I've swam with sharks. Everything. But here's what I did recently. My grandson is in Arizona State, and he's 22. And we went there a few weeks ago, me, my daughter, and his sister, who's only 8. And he made the mistake of telling his crazy grandmother. He said, "Me, Mom, guess where the only 2 places in the country right now have the Waymo car, the car without the driver, the electric car without the driver? One is in San Francisco, and one is in Phoenix, Arizona." So we were 25 minutes out of Phoenix. I said, "Well, guess what we're doing tomorrow? We're going to my friend's vegan restaurant in Phoenix, and you're calling your Waymo guy." And he went, "Okay." But I didn't know he was nervous. And we get to the restaurant, we eat, and I'm like, call Waymo, call Waymo. So he calls Waymo, and he's getting messages. It was the coolest thing. 5 minutes away, 3 minutes away. Okay, come out, looking for a place to park. So when we go out, I run to the car, and I go, "I'm getting the front seat." He goes, "And you can have the front seat." So we took a 15-minute ride around Phoenix, and I can honestly say now, other than my kids, I'm the only person that I know right now in this whole state that has ever done that.
Well, there you go. See?
It was very cool. But all right, we've got a few minutes left. I don't want you to say, "I should have said this, I forgot to say this." I'm going to give you the mic again, but I want you to give everyone also, if you have a website, an email, whatever you want to give them to reach out to you. And also the information, tell the titles of your books again, how they can get them, and then you're going to be doing a memoir. I mean, just tell everybody the information once again, and then you can say whatever else you'd like to say.
honestly, I think I've said it all
Okay.
aside from just love yourselves.
Okay.
Pray a little, believe in the good, the switch will work. Um, as for me, I'm easy to find. I usually really stick to Facebook. I have a lot of Facebook groups, a lot of going on, but usually the best way to find me is just by typing in Diana Kouprina in in Facebook search. I will pop up. You can follow me. Links to my books are also right there available. The first book is only actually sold online right now. We haven't published um, a hard copy, and that is also available at Barnes and Noble. So all the links, everything is available on my Facebook page.
Okay.
And anyone who's concerned about anything, please, if anyone who's listening who happens to be stateless, do message me. Whatever you're going through, I'm happy to connect. I'm happy to help. And the last words that come to mind are from, I want to say, Matthew Perry. May he rest in peace, because his death really shook
Yep.
me. I think it
Yep.
affected me as someone who has recovered, and just hearing him speak and just really identifying with the fact that it helps us who are recovering, in recovery, recovered, to speak to others. So if you're suffering, connect. It I can We can help each other. Connect with those that get it, and they do exist. We're here, and thank you to social media and to so much connection right now. It's easy to do. Just overcome that fear. You're not being judged. We're past that. We
Yes.
survived. I survived the 90s. It's okay.
That's right. Wow. So, Diana, I just want to thank you for not only honoring me with this interview today, for being an open book, for talking about everything you've just talked about. You know, I always say God has a plan, and He's using you right now to do what you're doing to help others. And I guarantee you, I'm going to be getting messages from people who were in need that listen to you. Okay?
But so I pray so, because
Yes.
again,
Yes.
I find that I have to be an open book, especially as a writer, especially someone who's working on their memoir. I for myself, I need to be as authentic as possible, because everything I've done in my life, I can say now I don't even regret it.
Mm.
Yes, I've gone back. I've replayed different scenarios, how I could have done. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't be the person sitting here who's more available to help. What if I did graduate from Dana Hall? What if I did go to Harvard? And what if I'm making, on this parallel universe, I'm making $1 million a year? um, I probably would not be sit in that position trying to help people. Because I hadn't gone through all those experiences. I would be looking at from a different lens, from a different dimension. So in that perspective, so the lower you go, the higher you got to go
I
up, right?
agree. Wow. Phew, you're amazing.
Oh,
Um,
thank
you're just amazing. And okay, you're
good
making
here.
me. You're
Thank you.
making. You're
I'm not
making
good
me a
at
little
compliments. I
speechless.
will say that. I can toot someone else's horn. Tooting
No,
my own
but
horn is a
but
little
you can
tricky.
toot yours as well. You know. Okay, I want to say this to people listening. You know, a lot of you are probably saying, you know, I wish I could overcome things like her. I wish I could do this like you. I wish you can. All right. Listen to me. Give it to God. He won't leave you. He'll help you. Okay. Um, you know, I want to say something to you, Diana, as well. That you know your strength and your power is just incredible to me. And after everything that's gone on and what you've been through and where you've came from, I mean, to me, that's even more empowering that you could sit here and say all this stuff to people. So I want to thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart for that as well. And, you know, the other thing is this, guys, reach out. Reach out to me, reach out to her, okay? Somebody is listening, so if anybody out there needs to talk, we're here, okay? Look at her. She's amazing. She will talk to you.
Oh,
Please
I
reach
have
out.
time. I
Yeah.
got time.
Please reach out, right? Okay, so now I want to just share something about what goes on with this video here. So I shared it to Facebook, Diana, and it's from the Geri Petito Show YouTube channel. And sometimes if it's on Facebook, when you press on it, it only lets you hear the audio. I don't know if it's just me or if that's what's happening. So guys, if you want to see this beautiful lady here, please go to the Geri Petito Show YouTube channel and click on it, and then you'll be able to see it. You might be able to see it on Facebook, but I can't for some reason. I only hear it. So just, you have both options, okay?
I tried.
So, Diana, I want to thank you. My producer is sitting back there, and he's giving you the thumbs up.
Yay,
You
thank
honored
you.
us here at the Geri Petito Show and Hamilton Radio. Ruben, take us out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do,
Just what to do, just what to do.
if what you're feeling is really true,
Is really true, is it really true?
just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.